Hello everyone, I'm Walt Hamilton and welcome to my man cave located in the upstairs portion of our villa at Potomac Green, located in Ashburn, Virginia, about 35 miles from the White House. And this is stage one that I'm going to be showing you that encompasses the delivery vehicle for what I'm calling Whazit, because we don't know what it is going to be for a long time, maybe months, years, but I'll explain that as we go along. This train is simply an oval at the moment, and I'll give you a demonstration. Goes across this temporary bridge, across the west side of the room, into the shelving, which is being covered by this blanket at the moment, and then around and so forth. You'll notice that the train is carrying a little yellow ping pong ball, and I'll explain more about that in just a few minutes. But let me first explain the terminology that I'm using for this particular place. I said it was my man cave, and indeed it is. This room is 17 feet long by approximately 7 feet wide. As you can see, I can't quite touch both sides. And I call this side here, because it faces east, the Near East. But in front of the Near East is this bridge coming across, and I'm calling that the Beautiful Bridge. The reason for that is originally I had envisioned making that out of glass or plexiglass, so indeed it would be reflective of light and beautiful. It makes a turn here, goes across another real live lift-out bridge at the moment, or it will be powered hopefully in the future. And I'm calling this the barrier bridge because it's a barrier for me going out at the moment, and certainly a barrier for anyone coming in, and we can wax eloquently about the implications of barriers in one's life as this continues. Across the western wall now, as you can see, it's a straight up and down wall, but I'm calling this the courageous cliffs, because in life we overcome things courageously and at sometimes great cost, and this symbolizes those things. Now it goes into a tunnel here and comes out of the tunnel here, and that's obviously a storage unit with a rug or a throw rug or a blanket in front of it to symbolize the fact that we're really not looking at a storage unit, but this is the Sunshine Mountains, the sunshine of Jesus that gives us the courage and the fortitude to do those things that are right in one's life and to make accomplishments for whatever we can for God's will. And I'm standing in the Fearless Fjord. That's between these two vertical cliffs, or barriers if you will, and we have to be fearless in sharing the gospel and doing God's will. So those are the basics, and as you can see, this has taken a bit of time to construct. The project was in my mind several years ago, perhaps even before we moved from California, but yet it didn't really take form in any meaningful way until last summer. And at that time, this was still just a storeroom. It had not been finished at all. It was just taped, but that was about it. There was no real paint, and fortunately we had the foresight to have a couple electrical plugs put in before the unit was built. However, since that time, last fall, I installed some more electrical plugs. This one here really doesn't work. You can't see it anyway, but it's in the middle of the ceiling. But I have two 4-plex plugs down here below this table. Well, when we first moved in, this was my office, because our office, or what we call our office, had not been completed yet. And so it was my office and, in real life, a storeroom in every sense of the word. But as we got going, I decided, and the real office got completed, I decided that I would like to have this space for something fun, something to take my mind off of everyday matters, and I came up with this idea of having the electric train that I once had going in our garage in California, re-established here, and that's what has happened so far. Now you might ask, what is all this white stuff that is around that we see? Last summer we had a pergola installed over our patio area, which many people in Potomac Green do, and it's nothing more than 1.5 square extruded tubing, the plastic that has been extruded in a square form. And what I've done is to take some of it and make these columns so that it would be nice and sturdy. Other parts, such as these supports here, were quarter pieces. Actually, I cut these lengthwise along each side so it came out to be angle, and that's what these are made out of. I haven't used a half piece yet, but I plan that that's an option anyway. And most of the pieces, of course, are very small, but yet some of the things that I have in mind in the future will use the longer pieces. So that's the basic construction. It's all put together with 3/8 inch self-tapping threading screws. Well, before any of that happened, we had to figure out what we needed for storage space so that we could still take care of that. And that's what everything is mounted to, is storage units, and that's why it seems so cramped here. On the other side of the room, which you can't see because the camera's not pointed in that direction, is our water heater. We call that Mr. W or HW heater. And he is always in hot water, we think, but sometimes not. And then our heating and air conditioning unit we call Mr. H. Bax. He's our chief engineer, and very closely working with him is Miss Hummer, or Miss Humidifier, as his assistant. And then Betty has a filing cabinet in here. We have some storage of folding chairs. And then Miss Vacuum also resides in here and makes people think that she's an airhead or whatnot. I didn't say that. I'm sorry. So that's where we are right now, and stage 1 is not quite finished, but it's getting there. Now when we get this bridge done and a few other things, we'll go into stage 2. And stage 2 will be right here against the courageous cliffs and consist of a true Whazit or thingamajig, one of these deals where there'll be a kicker to kick these balls, or balls like this, out onto a conveyor which will take it up to the top, and then like a pile of dominoes coming down, doing various things, and hopefully worthwhile, and it'll just be fun. This is just a fun thing here. No real accomplishment at the moment, but I may decide to do that. One of the things that limited our space was the fact that we had this breaker box, and so that had to be worked in too. On the other side will come stage 3, if I live that long. And stage 3 is really where I started. I wanted to go back to my days of material handling equipment and really design a automated storage and retrieval system for small things. And that's what this is. And to that end, I've started researching Arduino and some of the other programs that will interface this unit with my computer, and we'll be able to have full utilization of a mini ASRS system right here above the table. And then of course the workbench and the table, workbench is here, table here, is still available for what it is, a workbench and a table. So with that basic information, I hope that tells you just a little bit about what I'm doing in some of my spare time, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. So God bless, and we'll talk more.